All right, we're on air. It is Thursday, May 7th. Happy May, everyone. We're going to check in really quick today on the most important items for Backdrop CMS development, which is Backdrop itself, but also all of the infrastructure around Backdrop that we also need to get set up. For starters, we still have free PHP Storm licenses for Backdrop Contrib developers. So if you want a PHP Storm license and you are a Backdrop developer, send an email to info@backdropcms.org and one of those will get mailed out to you. If you're not yet a Backdrop Contrib developer or you're not yet a member of the Backdrop Contrib group on GitHub, if you are interested in porting or maintaining a module or adding a theme or a layout or anything to that group, we can help get you through that process as well. Read the README in that group, and there's links to help get through that. So anyone who wants to be a Backdrop Contrib author gets a PHP Storm license thanks to PHP Storm. So that's really cool. We also have a bunch of fancy new swag for DrupalCon. I just had the stickers, but now I've lost them. But there is a link in the agenda to our tweet where we had a picture of all of the stickers. They came out really great. We finally got stickers made with our little dragon on them. So if you want a sticker with a dragon and not our boring square logo, we'll be handing those out at DrupalCon LA next week. We also have a new run of t-shirts that also just got finished and are getting mailed there as well. So officially, the best place to meet up with anyone associated with Backdrop to grab a sticker or a t-shirt will be at the Drupal Watchdog author meet and greet, specifically Tuesday at 10:15 in the morning. We've got an hour blocked out there for anyone who's interested in coming talking to us about Backdrop to come meet at the day stage at the LA Convention Center where the Drupal Con madness is happening. And we're just going to have a suitcase of stuff we'll be handing out. So we'll be able to roll around with it all day. If you end up meeting up with us somewhere else, that's also fine. And if anyone in this call wants to help distribute stuff, if you guys are going to be at DrupalCon, we can give you like a handful of stickers and a handful of t-shirts and just say, anyone who asks, hand these out. Then there's more likelihood of people meeting up with a Backdrop person to try and grab swag. So since we don't have a table or a booth or an official place to distribute that, we're going to try and do it at the Drupal Watchdog meet and greet. And then if you can help us distribute too, that would also be pretty cool. And then Friday night after DrupalCon, we're going to have a Backdrop 1.1 release party, and we'll probably still have some stuff left by then. And if you want to meet with us at a local brewery, we're trying to get that settled too, and we'll have stuff there to hand out, hopefully. So that's tentatively the plan, to hand that stuff out. And then we can always get more printed, so if we run it to LA, any other event comes up, if everyone really loves the dragon stickers, we'll get more dragon stickers. So far they look really cute. All right. So Nate, I don't know if you've gotten a chance to look at these community growth numbers, but I did update the number of new projects with official releases that were on backdropcms.org. So since last week, we have 8 new projects, which is good. That means we had 8 new releases since last week. We have 34 total projects. So those are projects that will appear on the backdropcms.org modules page as soon as we go ahead and turn that on. So that's coming pretty soon as well. I think the number of Contrib authors is still 34. I checked that. I couldn't figure out, Nate, how you normally do the count for Contrib projects because it wasn't obviously on the GitHub group page. There's a nice count there. But I think that's still pretty close to what it was last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's only one new project on GitHub since last week.
Okay. So I still think that's pretty good. I mean, the fact that our current projects are getting updates is a good sign. The fact that they're all going to end up on our primary website is also really good. And everyone is really busy right now with DrupalCon coming up. So those will probably start to grow again. After we get 1.1 out, there'll be a flurry of new interest. Okay, so other things that we're working on, the Backdrop update server. Nate, do you want to give us an update on that since you've been doing a ton of work on it lately?
Yeah, there's nothing new there since last week. We already have everything all in place, project module and the update status. Well, project module provides the connection for update status, and it's still sitting there on backdropcms.org ready to be turned on, but we haven't turned it on yet. Again, I kind of think that the project repository viewer and the update status will probably all come along all at the same time, and probably post the 1.1 release because we've got our hands full right now with just getting the next version out. So I would say look for that soon after release, but up until for the next week, we've got our hands full getting out 1.1.
Great. We also have a bunch of work going on with Drush and Backdrop. I'm not sure that's got any progress since last week, but I think we're in a pretty good state with it being ready to go. We just need to build something into Backdrop that will tell Backdrop what the Drush commands do, so that when you do like a Drush CCL, it won't try and call a Drupal cache clear function, it'll call a Backdrop cache clear function, and I think we'll be good to go as soon as we get that mapping in there. Our primary website is also kind of on hold right now just because we're so focused on Backdrop the product, but next on our list is getting those modules, themes, and layout sections built out. We have designs for the search listing page, and we've got, I think, a first round of designs underway for the actual project pages themselves, and that's based roughly on what we've got on Drupal.org that we really like, and a couple of other sites that have extensions or plugins or other things that of the same ilk of what we're looking at, where we've stolen good ideas from them too. So hopefully we'll get that wrapped up shortly after 1.1 is out, and get people using our website to download the modules and themes and layouts instead of just using GitHub, which is really good. And then as soon as we get those three modules, layouts, and themes sections done on the site, we're going to shift our focus to setting up a showcase, because we know we have all these people building Backdrop sites, but we don't know what they are. We don't have anything to point to, and people go, what sites are running Backdrop? It's like, well, the API site and the Backdrop site are running Backdrop. So we'd like to have a place where we can kind of show those off as well. And for all these people doing all of this hard work on their Backdrop sites, give them a place to kind of post the stuff they've done too. And we've got other plans too that are farther down the road, but we'll worry about those later. All right, the fun stuff. So we're going to talk a little bit about Backdrop, the product itself. We currently have a patch release that I think is close enough. I don't know at this point, we're so close to 1.1, if it's even worth doing the patch release maybe this week and then do the 1.1 release next week. And that way it would give us a chance that if there are any issues with the patch release, we could fix them before 1.1. I have a feeling we're probably going to be doing a 1.1 pretty shortly after 1.1 anyway. So I don't know, Nate, if you have any thoughts about whether we should try and push that patch release out before the 1.1 release, or if we just save our effort for 1.1 itself.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess we could go ahead and make one final release of the 1.0 branch. I think that would be fine. But yeah, we're pretty much yeah. I mean, we're focused on 1.1 at this point, and so trying to fit in more into the 1.0 point, I guess it would be 1.0.6, probably doesn't have a lot of value. So let's, yeah, we can go ahead and release one today. I mean, there's no reason not to. It just has minor bug fixes and everything that we've got so far. And then 1.1 will be out next week.
Okay. And Jeff also pointed out that Drupal came out with 7.3.7 today. So I don't think we're going to get those changes into our next point release, but maybe we can take a look at what was involved in 7.3.7 and see if we can get anything that applies into 1.1. I think that would be good. So I'll create a meta for that if someone hasn't already, that we can work through in the issue queue and see how far we get on that. But we'll see. Okay, so big exciting thing is 1.1, which is coming up next week. And for that, we have a couple of things that are going in. We've got a new administration theme, which is looking really good. We have a whole bunch of pull requests that have been merged into a separate branch for the new admin theme that I think we still need kind of a holistic review of how all of those changes look together. But I think we're looking much, much better than we were even a week ago on that front. And then we have the built-in Path Auto module, which maybe, Nate, I should let you take over from here and talk about Token and Path Auto, since there's been some big exciting news since last week.
Yeah, so Token, I think even last week, Token module had already been in core, which was great. So Token module is already all in core with the UI and the browser and everything, which is fantastic. And then Path Auto, I picked up Jeff's work on Path Auto last week and started revising it, and it all looks really, really good. Path Auto, the pull request that we have currently on that issue, it's functionally complete. It totally works. It passes all tests that were migrated from Contrib, plus some additional ones that we added, and all existing tests are all updated to work with it as well. So the pull request is pretty well done. The tests are passing. We really just need review on that to make sure that we didn't introduce any regressions or anything. Yeah, Jeff, thanks for volunteering to take a look at that. Yeah, I think it looks great. I'm going to do my own code review on it, which normally just means things like comment cleanup and code structuring and making sure that all the doc blocks are accurate and everything like that. But I think that that's pretty much the only remaining part of the Path Auto pull request. So we're in really great shape. I mean, tokens are already in. I mean, it is a little bit of a cram here. I mean, we've got 8 days before the release, but with the pull request for Path Auto ready and the pull request for the new admin branch already mergeable, but just not totally polished yet, I think we're in great shape in both places. I'd really like to see the admin theme branch merged pretty much immediately, and then probably the Path Auto branch sometime over the weekend. And then it'll be DrupalCon, right? And then we'll have that that little period of time to actually do a little bit of work while I know Jen and I are going to be there. But we'll still be doing a lot of coding and everything during the day, because I don't think, at least I'm not officially attending DrupalCon. I'm mostly just going to be crashing parties and things like that. So that's it for me.
And one thing we did discover too, as we're looking at how Path Auto works, we kind of have realized more and more that we need some sort of redirect solution in core. And this is something that started actually even before we started working on Path Auto, when we started looking at clean URL settings, where we're like, we should just have like a redirect tool in here so we can just have a checkbox that says like redirect from non-clean to clean. And then we're like, wait a minute, now that we're talking about redirects, like should we also think about that for Path Auto? So I think something that we should start thinking of after we finish 1.1 is looking at when do we want to get some kind of redirect functionality in core, and it might be as soon as 1.2, just because of the way that we're, you know, when you have multiple paths for something, it gets a little bit messy. And since we're putting the ability to put in not only multiple paths, but automatically generating multiple paths, I think the need for that is going to come up pretty quickly. And since we have a redirect in Contrib that is maybe more than what we want to do in core, we can look at how that works and try and see, like with the Path Auto in core, adding the redirect in Contrib, what parts of that are essential that we should just have some checkbox that's like always redirect to canonical or something like that. It's going to need some more thought, so we're not going to be able to do it by 1.1, obviously, because we only have so many days. But I think it is the kind of thing that we're going to need or going to want to include really soon. So even though that's something that maybe not everybody knows that they need initially when you're building a site, it's something that a couple months later you're like, oh, why do I have these 2 pages with duplicate content? Or, you know, this one link links to one place and this other one links to another, and how do I fix that? They're supposed to be the same. So that's just something that I think we should think about shortly after. And maybe we'll create an issue for redirecting core and talk about the options in the queue. So keep an eye open for that so you can weigh in on how much of that you think should be included, and if we can do it really in a much more straightforward way than we're currently handling it. So that's a thought there that came up from Path Auto. So I think that's super exciting. We've got a whole bunch of other stuff we're working on that's not necessarily urgent and needs to be done by 1.1, which is good because we don't have a lot of time left. But we're always working to improve user experience, developer experience, and any bugs, obviously, that come up that we'd like to get fixed. So we have tags in the issue queue. There's an actual tag for a bug. We've got an issue title prefix for user experience and developer experience. As you're working with Backdrop file issues, if we have an issue, we can fix it. If we don't have an issue, we can't. So every time you run into anything, let us know. We'll prioritize accordingly. If you find something super important, it's obviously going to need to get fixed sooner rather than later. Every Thursday after this meeting, we usually have a little backdrop sprint in IRC. So if you can get an hour or two a week from your boss to spend some time working on backdrop, doing it on Thursdays is good. We also often spend a bunch of time before this meeting working on backdrop, so if that doesn't work for you, that's fine. Of course, if Thursdays aren't good, any hour of any week is always appreciated. So pitch in whenever and however you feel you can, if you can, or if not, just put stickers on stuff. That's totally acceptable as well. We also have a Reddit channel, if IRC isn't your thing, subreddit at reddit.com/r/backdrop. So if you want to ask questions in a way that's a little more permanent and a little nerdier in a different way, Reddit's been super successful for us so far, so that's a good place to go and ask questions until we end up getting our own Stack Exchange, or who knows what might come in the future. But for now, that seems to be working really well. Yeah, we've got these meetings every week on Thursday. So if you have wanted to get involved and didn't know where to start, coming to the meetings might be a good place. If you just want to hear what we're working on, the meetings are always fun for that too. And yeah, you can find people working on Backdrop on Twitter using the hashtag #BackdropCMS, or we have, I guess that's probably the best way. Asking questions can also be done through a contact form on our website. We've got an article coming out in the next Drupal Watchdog magazine where we have a FAQ section where we try to address the questions we hear most often about Backdrop. And there's also a super big in-depth feature story on if you were to build your next project in Backdrop, what do you need to know that is significantly different from Drupal 7, which I think will be eye-opening to a bunch of people. Also include some code samples, which a lot of people haven't seen yet. Which I think it'll be good. Perfect timing coming out with DrupalCon LA. So yeah, we would love to open this meeting up to anyone who has any questions or comments right now. Or if not, that's fine too. All right. But yeah, so any questions or comments come up if anyone's watching this video later. There's a contact form on our website. You can use Twitter. You can jump in the IRC channel and see if there's anyone there, or you can ask on Reddit, and there's usually always someone around to field the question. Even if it's not the one who can answer it, we can usually talk to each other and try and get someone around who knows how to answer the question. So that's good. Also, it's just nice to see smiling faces in here, so thank you guys all for joining. Yeah, and I don't know. I guess it looks like we have one question. Thoughts on Drupal 8 CMI? I'm not really sure how to approach that question. I mean, we have CMI, they have CMI, slightly different. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, I guess I've been having trouble answering that question. People have been kind of throwing Backdrop under the bus and acting like certain things aren't even being addressed, and I noticed that was one of them. So I guess I was wondering, like down the line, like next year or whenever, if it was like something that was in the plans, I guess, to have some of like the similar features, to have like the content be like sentient, I guess. Like it seems like there's some really cool features that they're doing, and I was just, like,
so there's a couple of things. We do already have CMI in Backdrop, so that isn't something that people in Drupal 8 can say they don't have. We do it differently. They use YAML files, we use JSON files. We store ours and read them off of files directly. They store theirs in the database and cache it, which is a little different. But we have already solved that problem in Backdrop. We do also, not unrelated to CMI, but there are a lot of things in Drupal 8 that have been happening that have not been happening in Backdrop just because of the scope of our project. And we do have a meta issue that is about all of the modules that got included in Drupal 8 and an explanation of either when they're going into Backdrop, why we're not interested in including them in Backdrop, or if they're already in Backdrop, which I think is called something like a comparison of Drupal 8 modules that went in core. And I think that we should continue. I mean, long term, our goals are to be feature comparable with Drupal 8. And so I think we should continue to revise, like look at that list, revise it. Any module that goes into Drupal 8 core, we should look at, is the functionality of this module something that is going to apply to our target audience, 80% of our target audience? So that's something we're working on. Nate also thinks that maybe the sticky point around CMI is how Drupal 8 handles translation. Like our CMI files don't have schema definitions that define which language they are, but we do have a plan for how to solve that problem as well.
Okay, cool.
So there's an issue Nate just posted in the chat there as well with how we think we're going to solve that problem in a Backdrop world as into a Drupal world. So even though right now the two projects are facing the same problems, right? Like we're at the same general target audience and whatever problems existed in Drupal 7 we've inherited because we inherited Drupal 7. But we are kind of rethinking about the problems for each one of those and saying, like, is this a problem for the majority? Like, is this a problem for 80% of websites? And something like translation, though really important, is not a majority problem. And that's something that we need to solve, obviously, if we want people to translate their sites in Backdrop. But they have been able to do it in Drupal 7, and we can enable people to do it in the same way. And we can make significant improvements in that process that maybe aren't the same improvements that Drupal 8 has done, just because our priorities might be a little bit different. So reevaluating the problems, trying to figure out which ones are most important and solving the most important ones first is kind of a big piece of what we're doing in Backdrop, which is why we started with CMI layouts and merging the #1 contrib module views into core. That's why we started there, because those are the biggest problems. We have a lot of problems. I mean, that doesn't mean it's not a successful content management system as it is. We've got a lot of issues in the queue. We've got a lot of ideas about how to solve them, and we will continue working to solve them. We just, we didn't have 4 years to get out of 5 years to get out a new version of Backdrop. So we had to choose the things that would make the big enough difference, or the biggest difference first. So, yeah, I mean, if you find yourself in conversations where people are saying, oh, Backdrop isn't any good because of X, the biggest answer there is, that wasn't a priority. We only had so much time and we wanted to do the most important things first. But we also are incrementally making changes all the time, right? We have new stuff going into 1.1, there will be new stuff going into 1.2, and if that becomes a priority, we can fix it. Like, this isn't a Drupal 7 long-term support where it'll never change. This is a new project where we can put in whatever we want, whenever we want, within reason.
Very cool.
So that's what I would say.
Sounds good. Thanks.
But yeah, I mean, especially because we're all active in the Drupal community, there are going to be a lot of naysayers. And generally, I just say, like, speak from your heart. Like, tell people why you're interested in Backdrop, what it is about this project that fascinates you. And not everyone is going to get it. There are going to be plenty of people who just disagree with it on principle, and that's fine. Backdrop isn't for them. So it's for us. That's fine. There's going to be enough of us that it'll be okay. Everyone can have their own. All right. Well, Nate, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I don't think so. I think you covered that pretty adequately.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this then. And I am excited to test drive the new Path Auto patch, and I also want to do another once over on the theme stuff and see how close we're to that. And then I'll take a look at 7.3.7 and set up a new issue with stuff relevant to Backdrop. So it's my plan for today. See you guys in IRC or Reddit or somewhere. And then at DrupalCon next week. Yay. How many people, just out of curiosity, how many people here are going to DrupalCon? Just me and Nate. Oh, frowny face.
We might be the only ones, actually. Oh, there we go. John.
I'll be there.
Okay. Excellent, John. We'll see you. Of course. The LA local.
Okay. Well, we'll try and save enough dragon stickers for everyone. So. All right. Have a great rest of your day, guys.
All right. Bye, guys. See you on IRC.